YouTube, man. It's your boy Coop, aka the Great DC. We are back at it again. I want to say major thank you, major shout out to Coach Apollo for joining and getting on a call with us. You know what I'm saying? Spreading his wisdom, knowledge, and giving us a fantastic interview. I think this interview is dope. I think you guys will learn a lot from this interview while also being entertained simultaneously. And in the interview, Zoom kept kicking us out periodically. So there's technically three parts to this interview, but with this thing, I did a pretty good job meshing it together so it doesn't look like crazy. But if you do periodically see like a chop or two where something looks out of place, it's because Zoom kicked us out. So we had to restart, and maybe he was in the middle of a thought or something like that. So I try to do my best to mesh it and make it, more appeasable for you guys. But yeah. Oh, also another thing too. I so listen. So in the process of recording the Zoom for obviously the interview, half of my face is in there. So if you could take a look, well, there you go. Take a look, or this way. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But if you take a look, my face is halfway in there. So I figured that'd be a big distraction and it'll take away from the interview because you'll just see half my face as you can see right here or over there. I don't know. But yeah, so I just cropped my entire face out. But you know what I'm saying? It's my first Zoom. It's the first iteration of this series, so it'll get better, learning experience. But yeah, without further ado, uh once again I want to give a big shout out to Coach Paulo. His links will be in the description if you guys want to reach him or contact him for serious things, you know what I'm saying, or football questions or something like that. But yeah, not to hold you guys up too long, on with the interview. How you guys doing today, man? First ever interview. I don't know what I'm gonna call this series yet, but got my former coach. Well, still my coach. I always call him coach, man. Always respect. Great guy. Uh, Went to North Plainfield High School, graduated an alum, made it to the next level, played in college. Uh, awesome coach, great guy, teacher, father, husband. My coach, Coach DiPaolo, man. Glad to have you on.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Coop. Yeah, man, I always consider myself a coach to any former player. I appreciate that acknowledgement. Appreciate you having me on here. Should be fun.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an honor, coach. Definitely an honor. For those of you that don't know, this was my receivers coach in high school. He's seen me go from dropping everything damn near to being a pretty decent player. I could have been better, but did no, did I think I did okay. I think I did okay. But yeah, without further ado, coach. Well, first, before I even say anything else, I'm really honored to have you on here. First edition on this series and on this guess platform, I guess. So this is for you guys out there, for the youth, for anybody that's chasing a dream, anybody that's aspiring to maybe one day coach or anything like that. So I just hope you guys can pull anything that you can from this and add it to your game, add it to your life that will take you to the next level. So that's really what this is all about. So without further ado, let's get into it, man. Coach, so uh, grew up in North Plainfield. Were you born and raised in North Plainfield? Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, born and raised in North Plainfield.
Yeah.
My parents were also both born and raised in North Plainfield, so North Plainfield's been home to my family for a long time. I think it's a special community, close knit community, diverse community. So uh, helped build me into the person I am today, and I'm very appreciative of North Plainfield.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One thing I will say about North Plainfield, I lived in Jersey City for a few years of my life, early years, and it's nothing like North Plainfield. I don't know, like it's just the community of it. Everybody's because it's such a small town, so it's close knit. Everybody knows everybody, so I think it's a really good town. Even some people give it flack, but I think it's a really good town. I think it's a really
Of
good town.
course, of course, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It has its ups and downs like anywhere, but I think after people leave North Plainfield, sometimes they realize
yeah,
what North Plainfield is and kind of means a little bit more to them maybe after the fact. Just like a
yeah,
lot of
absolutely. So, coach, did you have any siblings growing up?
I did, yeah. Two sisters. I'm the middle child. I had an older sister and a younger sister.
Oh, so you kind of like me, except for I was the baby. I had all sisters, no brothers. I always wish I had a brother though, but guess it worked out for the best.
Yeah.
So, what were you always into sports growing up, or?
Yeah, definitely. Always into sports since as long as I can remember. I have videos of being a little kid throwing the baseball with my mom and dad and my sisters. Joined sports probably as early as you could.
Yeah.
Kindergarten, first grade, joined baseball, started playing football in third grade. So sports have always been a huge part of my life. Absolutely.
So, growing up, was football your first love? Because I know some guys are like, no, I used to like basketball or this, or was football your first love, or was it something else?
Yeah, it wasn't honestly. Honestly, I was a three sport athlete pretty much my whole life: football, basketball, baseball. As a kid, football was probably third on the list. I thought I was a baseball player. I thought I was going to the Major League Baseball. I even didn't play football one year in Pop Warner to play fall baseball. Um, but then when I got into high school, freshman year, that's when I football became really my passion, my love, and kind of went up above the other two. But yeah, no, growing up, I loved all three, but football wasn't the one for me originally.
Yeah, no, I was the same exact way, coach. I thought I was gonna be a major league pitcher. I was gonna hit
Yeah.
home runs like what Shohei's doing now in the MLB. So that's actually pretty funny to hear that. But so like, what drew you to football when you got to high school? You said what drew you to football as opposed to those other sports like baseball or basketball?
Yeah, so football, I mean, it's an interesting sport, it's an interesting game. I think it's the brotherhood, the team aspect of football. I mean, football is really hard. It's a hard sport. It's not for everybody. And I think when you go through like those challenging times in football, whether it be training camp, workouts, you build that bond with your teammates, and there's really just something special about it that's kind of different than any other sport. And also, you play a football game once a week. There's no other sport that you practice as much as you do for a game once a week. In baseball and basketball, you're playing a few times a week, and if you lose a game, all right, we'll bounce back tomorrow. Football is a little bit different, and I think I just really kind of fell in love with that aspect of it. Um, and then it's such a physical and also mental sport. Like the combination of the physicality with the mental approach to football, it's the best sport in the world, in my opinion, at this age. I do love the other sports as well, but I think that's kind of what made me fall in love with it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think all players out there will say that love football. I think they would definitely agree because on the outside, like my wife, she doesn't know anything about like sports or anything, so it just looks like crazy dudes running into each other. But they don't understand that the technical details and like what everybody's doing on the field and how much your team really plays a part. Like we'll get to this later, but I remember Coach Chick always used to say like sometimes he wishes it was boxing. So like if you mess up, you get knocked out, as opposed to if you mess up, your teammate gets punished for that. So it's really some where like everybody else can do their job, but just one person can mess up and then the play's done. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the ultimate team sport, kind of like you mentioned. In baseball, you're a really good player. You could hit a home run every time you're up, and you could be really good. If you're a great running back in football, but your offensive line doesn't block for you, you're not going to have the stats. You're not
yeah.
going to be, it's the ultimate team sport, which I love about it.
So coach, I gotta ask, what kind of not only player but what kind of person was Coach DiPaolo in high school?
Uh, I'm a laid back guy. I kind of in high school I was a guy that got along with everybody. Player, always competitive, very competitive since a child. I want to win in everything I do. I used to argue with my siblings. And I'm still like that to this day. It's almost like a little bit of a different personality on the field. I'm still the same person, but just that competitive fire comes out.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, but off the field, usually smiling, happy, getting along with everybody, and then on the field as competitive as it gets. And I was always like that, pretty much my whole life.
Yeah, so like the academic portion, were you the guy that got the good grades, or were you just like the cool dude that was just chilling in the back, you know?
I was a solid student.
Uh,
I would say I was a B student. My sisters were better. They were National Honor Society, all that stuff. I wasn't that. I
just
was a
like me.
solid student. Probably could have done a little bit better, but I definitely wasn't. I took academics serious. I always did. Like I said, probably could have done better, but I was a solid student.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. So, in high school, I gotta ask, what was your best year as a player, high school wise? Like best performing year as a player?
Would have to be my senior year for football. That year we went 8-2, and myself, I had a really good year. I made all conference, all area, all group. I set the school record for interceptions in a year. I think I still have it actually,
Yeah.
eight
Okay.
interceptions. So that would be my best overall year. I moved from running back to quarterback. Um, so yeah, I would say football wise, that was my best year statistically.
So what about your team as far as like team goes? Like, what was your best team year?
So same senior year, my senior year, we were 8-2. We won the conference. We beat Rawway in overtime for the conference championship. We lost in the playoffs. But my junior year, we were 7-3, and my sophomore year, I believe, we were 5-5. So senior year was the best record and best individually.
Oh, okay. So was that the game, the Rawway game? Was that the game where like some crazy happened?
Yeah, I mean it was a crazy game. So they had a few guys that went on to play very high level. One guy that went on to the NFL, played for Carolina Panthers, I believe. They went up 7-0 in the first quarter, and then it was a defensive game from there.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, it was a defensive game back and forth. There was less than 2 minutes to go in the game. They were still winning. Um, we caused a fumble. One of my best friends tackled the kid. They're trying to run out the clock, and I was playing defensive back. I hopped on the fumble. Like I said, less than 2 minutes to go. We go down the field. We go 40 yards, and we score on literally the last play of the game. Last play
Legend.
of regulation. Kick the extra point to go into overtime, and we end up winning in overtime 13-7. So yeah, it was a great game.
Legend.
Great atmosphere.
Legend.
Nothing like it.
I seen how he threw that stat in there. Like, yeah, I recovered the fumble.
I had a I had a few more stats I could have thrown in there. I did score the winning touchdown in overtime.
Okay.
I did.
Oh, yeah, talk to him, coach. Let him know. Yeah, he was that guy. Yeah, he's still that guy. But yeah,
There's a lot of guys that made some big plays, on that team. There was a lot of guys, like I said. Linebacker forced the fumble. Our running back scored the touchdown in regulation. Uh, Defense played great, but that was a great game. Great.
yeah.
When I get around my high school friends, we still talk about that stuff. So
That was just about to say that the high school moments. We'll get into that, but I think I don't know. We'll get into that. Let me save that for later. But so when in your high school career did you realize like I could possibly play in college, or did you realize it ever?
yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, the recruiting is 100% different nowadays. Film is 100% different nowadays. We didn't have huddle. We didn't have social media like we did. So I think I got my first letter from a college after my junior year. I still remember it was Lebanon Valley College. It's like a Division III school in Pennsylvania, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I'm
Yeah,
like, wow, there's a college that wants me to play. I was happy, and I hadn't really thought about it before then. Like I said, I didn't really know it was an option. I knew I was a good athlete, but I didn't really. I know I probably wasn't good enough to play Division 1. So after that, though, I kind of, I talked to coaches, I talked to other people, and I knew it was something I wanted to do. And then moving forward, I was able to contact some different coaches and stuff like that. But that was where it started. After my junior year, I got one letter, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
yeah. No, it is a good experience when like you just feel wanted. But coach, you did age yourself a little bit, coach. You said there was no huddle. You said there was no huddle. The film wasn't because I'm used to just it's on huddle and then the coaches see it from there. You can send it out from there. So did you guys have actual film like?
And for anybody watch, I'm not that old. Technology goes quick. I'm 35. I mean, I guess I'm pretty old, but technology changes so fast. We literally had VHSs.
Ooh.
Yeah, VHSs. DVDs too. DVDs too.
VHS.
We sent out game films. So I sent out like my best 2 games.
Coach, you know Snow White was on the VHS. That's pretty old, coach.
I'm old, man.
But
I'm
nah,
old.
that's that. You know what I mean? That's my guy though. That's my guy. But he
Yeah,
aged
it's all
himself a
good.
little bit. But so, coach, what would you say like some of your best attributes as a player would be? I know you said competitiveness and things like that, but what other attributes would you say was some of your better traits as a player?
Yeah, so I mean, I think naturally I was always a pretty good athlete. I was always had good hands, had good hand-eye coordination. I was always relatively quick. I wouldn't say I was like the fastest kid in the world, but I had pretty good quickness. But then really, I think my work ethic was pretty good. Like, I really fell in love with the process. And I mean, I'll talk about that in more depth in terms of coaching and everything, but just, I started loving the weight room. You were a guy like this. You reminded me of myself in that regard. I just bought into all the little things. I tried to get bigger, faster, stronger. I stretched more. I tried to try to do every little thing I could to maximize my athletic ability.
Now, listen, guys, that's very important. So, for you younger kids out there, listen to what he just said. He focused on the work ethic, the process. A lot of times we like to rush as human beings. We like to try to rush the process. You have to focus on the process and really love the process, because if not, it's not gonna really, it's not gonna work out in the best interest for yourself, because the process is what gets you to the end result. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really skip from point A to Z. You gotta go through steps, and his work ethic, like he said, though, his work ethic is what allowed him to do things like recover fumbles and get letters in junior year. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. So the work ethic and really falling in love with the process will take you guys to levels beyond what you think can even be achieved by you. You know what I'm saying? So I really like that point, coach. That was a solid point. I like that. But coach, so what were some of your favorite teammates in high school? Some of your favorite teammates.
So you want some names? I mean,
I mean,
uh, so
yeah.
I'll say this: pretty much the guys that I played high school sports with are still my best friends to this day. The friend circle that I had, um, that's still the guys that were in my wedding. We go to kid birthday parties together. I don't see them as much as I would like to and stuff like that. But those guys that I played high school football with, high school other sports with, those are still my best friends to this day. And then there's some others that I don't keep in touch enough with though. But if we saw each other on the street, that brotherhood never left. It's
Yeah.
still boys after 15 years. It doesn't matter how long passed. Like that connection will always be there.
Yeah, that's definitely like a man answer too, because I know like girls, like women, they're just like, oh, if I'm not talking to you, then we're not really that close. But a dude could literally be away from one of his best friends for like 20 years, and they just reconnect, and it's like they weren't even separate for 20 years. They just right back at it. So, yeah. Uh, but yeah, so coach, moving on to college. So, what college did you end up choosing to go
So
to?
I went to Rowan University right out of high school. It's a Division III school in South Jersey. Um, that's why I decided to go after high school.
What drove you to Rowan as opposed to the Lebanons and the other schools that recruited you?
Yeah, great question. Obviously, I think the educational fit matched what I was looking for. I visited campus; it seemed nice, but honestly, the football is one of the biggest things. At the time, Rowan was one of the best Division III schools in the country on the East Coast, and I would say that competitive nature. I mean, I just wanted to play at one of the highest level I was possible playing at, or one of the most competitive teams that I could have. I looked at a lot of schools, locally in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, um, but Rowan was, um, like I said, I felt like it was the highest level that I could have played at. I just really liked when I visited it, like the kind of the energy of the coaches and the team, and felt really comfortable there.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of what drove me to go to Kings above the rest of the school. So yeah, that's similar in that aspect. But I gotta ask you this, coach. So the first day you get to campus, not campus, but the first day you get to the actual practice, what was that like? Can you tell people that never have played in college what that was like?
I had to reevaluate life a little bit. I thought I was a good athlete. I thought I was a good player coming out of high school. I get there, we got kids that are 26, 20, 26 years old, grown men, multiple Division I transfers. I'm looking for my name on the depth chart. It's nowhere to be found. I mean, I'm joking a little bit, but seriously, you really have to start from the bottom again. Everybody there is good. It's competitive as heck. It's faster than high school football. You really will. Anybody that goes to that level, you will second guess yourself a little bit. You will reevaluate. Is this really for me? and it's a wake up call.
Yeah, yo, that's for anybody that's not played in college and is looking to play in college. It is one of the most humbling experiences you can ever be a part of. Because in high school, it's like I could just do what I want. I'm gonna show up and play. I'm better than the rest of these guys, or better than a good portion of these guys. But when you get there, and we'll get to it. But it's the little details and like the small things is what separates the guy at number one and number two. It's not always just oh, he's this faster than me, or he's this much taller than me, he could bench this much. It's really the little things that separates the one at the top and then the one that Coach DiPaolo described of not even seeing your name. So uh, it's a very it's a very humbling experience. So I think that's just a funny. I think I'm gonna ask everybody that comes on here who played in college that question, because that is so funny, because everybody has the same exact experience.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody's good.
Yeah,
Everybody all conference. Everybody was captain of their team, and
yeah,
like you said, what separates the starter from the fourth, fifth string guy is such a small little details. And if you're not there working hard every day, if you're not on time, if you're not doing the little things right, next guy up. And I think it's a great life lesson.
yeah. Absolutely. Take notes, guys. We dropping gems for you. We dropping gems for you guys. But so coach, what position did you decide on playing in college? Because I know in high school everybody plays like 50 different positions. So
Yeah, so I played safety. I played strong safety. Yeah, pretty much all 4 years.
oh, okay, so you were just coming down filling. You seen that down block, coach. You were just filling.
Yeah, I had to do it all a little bit. I had to come down, fill the run, play off the hash a little bit. But I really did love the position. In high school, I was more of a corner, played a little safety. But when I got to college, I was a safety, and fell in love with it. Like I said, I love the position. Safety's kind of like that quarterback of the defense.
Yeah,
Got to set the coverages. You got to be pretty versatile. Got to be able to stop the run, stop the pass. And the older I got and the more experience I got, I really learned how film study and studying opposing offensive tendencies can really just make you play that much faster on the field. So yeah, I played safety. I loved it. Still has a soft spot in my heart, that position.
yeah. Nah, absolutely. I could tell, because when you became the defensive coordinator, you were just your energy was just a little bit different than when you was on offense, coaching the receivers and stuff like that. But yeah,
Defense is a little different, man.
yeah,
You got a defense a little different mentality.
yeah. So what year did you actually start? Well, first I want to ask, when did you start seeing your name go from like the abyss to like actually starting to see progress? Like, what was that, your first freshman year or like sophomore?
Yeah, great question. And like I said, I wish it would have been sooner. But my freshman year, um, didn't really see the field. I made the travel roster for a couple games. So again, for guys that don't even know what that
Oh
is,
yeah,
some guys don't even get to travel to away games.
yeah,
You get to dress for the home games, you get to practice, but they can only travel a certain amount of guys to away games.
yeah,
So by the end of the year, I was traveling, but still not seeing any time. My sophomore year, I started to see some time on special teams. And then my junior year, I was splitting time, and then I became a starter. And then my senior year, I was a starter, and I had a really good year. But like I said before, it wasn't an easy transition.
yeah.
A lot of hard work, a lot of second guessing. I really had to reevaluate myself and to get to where I got to.
So, coach, what advice would you give to somebody right now that's in that position, that's on that scout team, that's looking to maybe move up that depth chart? What advice would you give to a college kid in that position?
Yeah, my advice would be to just like we said before, is just trust the process. Everybody's process is a little bit different. All right, there might be a kid the same age as you that does see the field as a freshman. That doesn't mean really anything. That doesn't mean he's going to have a better career than you. Just trust your process. Do anything you can to help the team, even when you're feeling frustrated, and we all will feel frustrated when we're not playing as much. You got to kind of keep that to yourself. Keep that maybe with your family or whoever you really confide in. But on the field, you're doing whatever you can to help the team. If the team needs you to play scout, then you give that absolute best look. I know coaches are always evaluating that, and it's easier said than done. But you just gotta, trust your process, trust your love for the game, and do anything you can to make a difference for the team.
Yeah, no, that's definitely sound advice because at the end of the day, guys, they're looking for people that can be a use for the team. They don't really care about your individual self and what you want to do as far as stats or how many catches. They want to win. So at the end of the day, they want to put the best guys on the field, and the best guys are the most useful guys. So just like he said, try to make yourself as useful as possible to the team, whether that be working your way up through special teams or really giving the offense or defense a good look on scout, whatever you have to do to really elevate yourself and be of use to the team. And when you finally get that opportunity, just make sure you're ready for the moment and capitalize on that opportunity. But so coach, now I gotta ask you, what was your best college year as a player?
Yeah, so again, it would be my senior year. So, like I said, I started my junior year. I had a solid year, but my senior year, again, I was much more confident. I was returning with, the newfound confidence, and my senior year was my best personal year. I think I led the team in interceptions, was second on the team in tackles. I made first team all conference. So that was very rewarding to see all the work that I put in over 4 years finally pay off.
Yeah, that like we said before, the process. He trusted his process, and it like he paid off because he didn't listen to the doubt that was creeping up in his mind. He just kept grinding, kept chugging, and eventually he saw the success, and he was able to, like I said, achieve the success. So guys, if you're in that position as younger guys, or just even if you're older, like if this is your senior year coming up, just really trust your process, and if you put in the work, it's really not it's not likely that you won't see any positive results that you can take away from that situation. Whether not even just on the field, it could be off the field, just in life in general. So, yeah, I really think that was a good point, Coach. But so graduation day hits, Coach. Graduation day hits. Cap and gown. What is Coach DiPaolo thinking is next for him?
Yeah, honestly, I really didn't know, and I know people say this, so I'll just give you a little backstory. I was probably my sophomore year. I thought about changing majors to education because I thought I might want to teach and coach, but unfortunately, my GPA wasn't high enough at the time, so I couldn't. So I graduated with a business finance degree. I was working part time at a Champ Sports in the mall by my college. So I went to move back home. My mom had moved out of North Plainfield by this point. She moved down to Brick. So I went back with my mom, and I was working part time um, at a Champ Sports, looking for jobs, looking for business type jobs because that's what my degree was in. Um, and then this is kind of where football comes into the picture. So I don't know if you want me to get into that yet
Yeah,
or
yeah. You could get into that, but I'm confused. This is why I don't understand college. Your degree wasn't high enough to go into education, but it was high enough to get into business. I'm so confused by that.
yeah. So when I was applying to colleges, I wasn't sure what I wanted to major in. I talked to my family. They're like, "Oh, you're pretty good with math. You're pretty good with money. You should go for business finance." So that's what I went in for. That's what I applied for. I got accepted for. Started taking some classes in it. It was interesting. I did like it, but I did have a feeling that maybe I do want to coach and teach. So I went to try to change my major. And I guess once you're already a student, you needed a 2.75 GPA to get into the education um,
Oh,
department.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and a lot of times your first year in college, you don't do as well as you probably should. I didn't fail out or anything like that, but
Yeah,
GPA probably wasn't what it should have been. So
yeah.
I didn't, and then after that point, I kind of put that on the back burner and just stuck with the business finance. But who knew years later it'd come full circle, and I actually would get into education and teaching and stuff like that. So
It's because you trusted the process, Coach. Definitely because you trusted the process. But yeah, so from there, how does now coaching come into the picture now?
yeah, so like I said, I was working part time at Champs Sports. I got a call from my former college defensive coordinator. He had a teammate that he played with that was looking actually for a defensive coordinator at a high school up in North Jersey called Marist High School, actually. So I was interested. I was 22, 23 years old. I'm like, absolutely, I would love to. So I went up. I met with the guy. His name was actually Brian Mean. He actually just recently passed away. Great guy. Still kept in touch with him after this. Um, Met with him. I accepted to become the defense coordinator at Marist High School. I didn't really have much going on. I was 20, like I said, I was 23 years old. I was willing to do it. Commute up to Jersey City, Bayonne, I think it actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I literally had that job for a week, and then Coach Lake, who you and me both know, he was my high school coach. He was still coaching when you were in school. He found out that I was going to coach up that way, and he called me, and he goes, why are you gonna, he pretty much offered me a job coaching at North Plainfield. Why would you commute all the way up there? You can come here, coach every day. We can get you in the building as a substitute teacher. It was more money. So I did. I did. I called Coach Meany. He completely understood. And I became an assistant coach at North Plainfield. I started substitute teaching, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with, coaching, being around kids every day, trying to inspire kids, even in the classroom as a substitute. I just liked that environment, that feel, and I kind of knew that that's something I wanted to do. But again, long story here because my degree was not in education. So I coached for 1 year with Coach Lake as an assistant. I was coaching the DBs and receivers, but I had to get a big boy job, so to speak. I had to get so that year I got a job in Philadelphia, down by where I went to college, down at Rowan. I got a job in the business world at this company called McKean Defense Group, and I said it was okay. There was nothing wrong with the job. Probably could have moved up. It just wasn't fulfilling to me. I was still looking to coach, but my hours were a little bit tough. I was reaching out to high schools, colleges in the area, trying to get on board. That first year there, I didn't coach. And that's the last fall I haven't been involved with football. So the following year, I reached out to a coach who coached me at Rowan University, who became a head coach at a local high school down there. And I hopped on board with him, and I started coaching at Cherry Hill West for a year. I was coaching receivers, defensive backs. And again, in my head, I knew this is what I want to do. I need to find a way to get into the education field. So I started taking some classes at community colleges. I took a few extra courses at Rowan to try to, put myself in the position to be certified to become a teacher so I could do this full time.
Yeah, that's crazy because like as a player, you never think like, what is my coach doing outside of here while I'm at school to be able to come here and coach? Like you never think about that, but that's actually crazy. That's so
Yeah.
so coach. So to kind of backtrack a little bit, what was that like? Like you were in a system, you were playing for this coach, and now you're coaching with him. Like speaking of things coming full circle.
Oh, working with Coach Lake.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. I mean, Coach Lake he's been like a mentor for me for my whole life. He was my head coach. He's done so much for me personally, professionally. So it was a great experience. Anybody that knows Coach Lake, he's a demanding guy. He's going to hold his players accountable, going to hold his coaches accountable, but he's going to love you. He'll do anything he can for you. So, he taught me so many lessons in that regard. He knew I was passionate about coaching, so he really helped develop me, mold me, to hopefully one day become a coordinator or a head coach. So I owe a lot of thanks to him, but it was a great experience.
Yeah, we definitely got to get Coach Lake on here too. Definitely got to get Coach Lake on here. Uh, how was like was so there wasn't no interview process. He just pretty much told you like, come here, like.
With Coach Lake, no interview process because we had such a
Yeah.
relationship in the past. With the other school, Marist, I did. I went up there, I interviewed, we talked football. Any other jobs that I've gotten, there's an interview process again, unless there's that personal relationship where you kind of know each other, and they're just offering you to come on board.
Yeah. That's so as the receivers and DB coach, you seen some talented individuals. I should say, coach. So I gotta ask you this question. Top top five. I gotta put you on the spot. I got you, coach. Top five receivers, top five DBs you coached.
All
Not
right, I'm gonna have to think a little bit here. All right, I gotta think and remember everybody I coached.
You have Arthur, Naeem Hanks. You got Stephen Barna, R.J. Hunter.
Yep.
Uh,
Now let's be fair too. Okay, we have run different systems.
That's true.
throughout the years.
That's true,
So
coach.
play higher to different receivers. But there's been a lot of talented kids, a lot of talented kids. I'm thinking of names, but I will say I always felt like North Plainfield did have athletes that can match up with anybody. On our good years or even years when we were a little bit down, sometimes maybe our depth was an issue or different things, but I always felt like our athletes could match up with anybody that we were seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to put him on the spot. He dodged it. He's good. He's good.
Trying to
He
dodge that
dodged
one.
he dodged the question. That was good. That was good. I had to see if I could get him. I had to see if I could get him.
I'm
But
I'm definitely putting you up on there, Coop. Coop, you're on my list, man.
he's just saying that because I'm on here, guys. He's just saying that because I'm on here, guys. But but coach, on a serious note, what was the what was that like your first year coaching? Like, what was that experience like? Were you more nervous? Were you trying to just figure things out, asking questions? Like,
Yeah, that's a great question. It was definitely an eye-opening experience because again, there's a lot of times when you transition from player to coach, there's so many things that you don't realize as a player. Just because you're a good player doesn't mean you're a good coach. Just because you maybe weren't a great player doesn't mean you can't be a great coach. There's just so many different details in coaching. Um, but I loved it. I loved having my own position group. I loved getting kids to buy in to playing hard, to kind of creating that culture within your just position group, staying after practice, putting in extra work, really diving into the playbook. So I really embrace that. Just I think of being a position coach is a great experience. It was a great learning experience. I was trying to add other things, trying to learn other things while I was doing that, but kind of just enjoying where I was at as well.
yeah, I gotta say that like having you as our receivers coach, that was a really really fun experience. Not only just because of like just the drills, but like your personality. Like you added. They say juice, but yeah, you definitely added the juice. You definitely added the juice to the practices. You came on with the energy. It was once the practice hit, it was go time. It didn't matter if it was we were down, if we were 0-7 or whatever. You were always up. It was always a good experience. So I do like those individual sessions, those indie sessions. Those are good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I always say to any position coaches, if there's any aspiring coaches, like that individual time in your position coach, you got to absolutely love that. You got to embrace it. You have to plan that out every minute what you want to do. You should never be out there and just trying to get through 10 minutes.
Hold up. Yeah, we're back. Sorry, guys. I don't know what just happened. Zoom literally crashed and told me if I wanted to upgrade to Zoom Pro. So I'm like, do you have to pay for Zoom now? I have no idea. I don't know. But anyway, back to what we were just talking about. The last thing you were saying was, as an indie coach, you should love what you do, and like those indie sessions, you shouldn't just have like 10 minutes that you're trying to kill time. It should be like special, I guess, or like more attention to detail in those periods for your players.
No doubt. So that's a little responding to adversity right here, man. Zoom crashes.
Yeah,
Respond to adversity.
yeah, absolutely.
Uh, yeah, but what I was saying is that as an individual coach, like I said, I mean, I absolutely love that any time. I always felt like you kind of treat that as like you're the head coach of your position, and I think the players see that. So from a coach's perspective, always being prepared, bringing the energy every day. There's days where and this translates to players as well. That energy is contagious. There's days where you're not feeling well, you have things going on outside your life. But when you're on that field and you're a leader, you're a player, you're a coach, people feed off of that. So, I've always kind of prided myself on that, just being passionate, being energetic, trying to make it fun, being demanding and trying to hopefully blend that mix on the field.
Yeah, no, you definitely did a great job at doing all of those things. That's why I always say you're one of my favorite coaches ever, like ever, since Pop Warner, and it does not even just football, baseball, basketball, anything. Just I think you're my top five coach. Yeah, I give you my top five.
Yeah. I, that's high praise. I appreciate that. I
Yeah,
honestly,
no, you deserve it. You deserve it, coach. You're the man. I definitely got to give you your flowers on here, coach. I'm here to give you your flowers, coach. You are the man, coach. You are the man. But so moving on. So that year goes by, and the next year, are you now the defensive coordinator now, or?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll jump ahead a little in this story. So my first go around at North Plainfield was, I want to say, 2011. This was before you were even here, Coop. We had like Eric Fredericks, Taj Belfield, Vincent Green.
Oh,
It was
okay.
1 year. I went out. I did my business job for 2 years, and I started getting ready to get into education. I came back, and now we're what year is this? What year are we talking here? What
This
sophomore?
my sophomore year, that was 2015.
Okay, 2015. I started doing like some student teaching, and I was really trying to get into the teaching. And yeah, that first year I was position coach. The second year, Coach Lake promoted me to defense coordinator.
Yeah, I know that must have felt like a huge honor, especially coming from Coach Lake, who, like you said, was your mentor, and especially something that you wanted to do originally. Like you wanted to aspire to be a position coach, and then defensive coordinator, or just a coordinator, and then go to head coach. So, talk about that. How did that feel when you got that not notification, but like that message of like you're the now the D coordinator.
Yeah, it felt great. Honestly, it did. Like you said, it was something I had worked for. I felt ready. I mean, I did. I don't know if you're ever really ready until you're there, but I felt ready. I had been, coaching for at least over 5 years by this point. Um, I've been studying on my own time, learning different systems, things that I did in college, things that we had done in the past, things that other people were doing. I've always been a student of the game. I still am. I still love to learn football. I do. It's something I'm passionate about. So I felt ready, felt excited. That off season, just creating playbook, creating, all these things. It was an exciting time for me.
Yeah, coach. I have to admit, coach, and you already know this, coach. I didn't enjoy seeing you on the defensive sessions because I'm not a defensive guy, coach. I don't want to play defense. I want to just
I
catch the
know, I know.
ball and just score. I always hated those defensive sessions. Then I was the rover, and I'm like, I don't want to like the drop back. I don't want to do the drop back. But that was one of my flaws as a player, guys. That was because, like I said before earlier, you have to be as useful as you can to your team. And I'm pretty sure I could have definitely been useful on defense. It just I never wanted to play. I would so it was more so for a selfish reason. But for you guys out there, like I said before, make yourself as useful as possible to your team because then that also offers more opportunity to be seen on film or by a scout or anything like that. So just give yourself more opportunities. You know what I'm saying? So don't be like me and just I just want to do this, whether it be for just defense or offense. You know what I'm saying? Just give yourself the maximum opportunity to be seen and also to help your team win. Because at the end of the day, we don't play the game to lose. We play to win. So that was my little spiel, coach. But moving on. Not actually no, we stay right here. So that year, defensively, what trying to think how to ask this question. What do you feel like you had to elevate, if anything, in yourself in order to be the best D coordinator you could be, as opposed to just a regular position coach?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, that year I really liked. I thought the kids, the team bought in. We played hard, but there was always learning curves. You could always get better. So, kind of reflecting after that season, I felt like I had to, maybe study some various offensive schemes. In high school, you see everything. You see spread, you see option, you see wing T, you see so many different variations of offenses. And there's guys that have been doing this for a long time. So even though I maybe knew defense, I thought it'd be important to go on the other side and learn more offenses and learn different schemes and things of that nature. That was an adjustment I had to make.
Okay, yeah, that's actually really smart because I heard Peyton Manning talking about that, how he took his game to the next level. He was always in a defensive film room, so he would understand what the defensive coaches were telling their players, so that he could be ready for that on the opposite side. So, as you would pretty much do the same, just for the reverse. So that's actually pretty smart.
Yeah, I would say to anybody, players, coaches, if you want to be really good on one side of the ball, say it's offense, learn the other side the best that learn the other side the best you can, and I think that really will help you.
Yeah, that's really good advice, guys. Because you have to. I think you should learn your opponent more than you. Uh, I guess not learn your own scheme, but or I want to say you should learn your opponent just as well as you know your own like scheme and what you do well and things like that, or what you don't do well, so that you could see things and read things better or anticipate things better. So, uh, yeah, no, I think that's great advice, Coach. But now moving on, what was it like when you found out Coach Lake was stepping down? What was that like? The guy that was your mentor and he got you the job and got you the position that you're in today, and he's stepping down.
Yeah, so it was definitely a little uncertainty, right? You know, when times are changing, um, that's really it was a little uncertainty. You know, who's going to take over? I was still relatively young at the time. I did have aspirations to be a head coach though too. You know, so there's a little bit of uncertainty in that time period.
So, how did he tell you himself the news? I'm pretty sure he told you that he was stepping down, or how did you find out that he was not going to be the head coach anymore?
So if I remember correctly, and I could be a little off on this, this was probably right after the last game or one of the last games. Coach Lake told the whole staff. I think it was before the last game because I think I knew by South Plainfield game that he wasn't going to come back. I believe it was after one of the later games in the season. He told us that this is going to be his last year. He told the entire staff.
Oh man, that's crazy. Cause we found out in the weight room that was a crazy. I'm like, damn, Coach Lake going. Cause like that's my guy. So I'm like, Coach Lake, what are we gonna do now, Coach Lake? I just like you said, uncertainty. I only knew Coach Lake. Like I remember being in Pop Warner, going to meet Coach Lake as an eighth grader. Like, yo, I can't wait to play for this guy and things like that. But yeah, it was a crazy time. So, what did you then think when they were doing the hiring process? Did you feel like you were a good candidate to be considered as a head coach, or did you feel like somebody else, like a Coach Bannon or somebody, were?
I think I'm trying to go back in that time period. I think there was a mix of emotions. I mean, I was young, so I mean, if I could probably speak more looking back now than at the time, I probably wasn't ready. Um, I think I was only 1 year as a defense coordinator. I was barely getting my feet wet teaching. I think I was on the right path, but I will say, like Coach Lake was all I knew too. But sometimes it is good for everybody, players, coaches, to be exposed to different coaches, be exposed to different people, learn from learn from as many people as you possibly can in any field that you're in. Take the good, take the bad, and then kind of mold yourself into what you want to be, regardless of what area of life that is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and what's funny is what's about to come up next is the Coach Chick era. But the funny thing is, I think that was probably the best thing for us. I just feel like we got it as meaning my class, the seniors, we got it too late. That core, I feel like if we had that a year prior or maybe my sophomore year, by senior year, I think we would have been where we were supposed to be. My senior year, so. Yeah, how did you feel when you got the news that he was taking over, he being Coach Chick?
So I had known a little bit about Coach Chick. He had a legendary coaching career, and I did a little. Obviously, I looked him up a little bit. So I had a ton of respect for him. I knew, the guy's a great coach. The first day I met him, we hit it off. Like that's still my boy to this day. He embraced me. He was always good to me. I couldn't say enough good things about Coach Chick. He treated me like, like a little brother. Like didn't really have to interview with him for the staff. He told me, I'm the defense coordinator. If I want to stay on, just you know, very very embracing to me. So that was nice when I finally got a chance to meet him.
Yeah, no, that's actually dope to hear because I always wondered about that relationship with you guys. Like, how is that relationship? Like, if you were cool with him still, or it was just like a fly by night. Like, okay, he's gone, now I'm here, But
No, 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 no. That's the thing about sports and football. Like these relationships, like people say, but they're literally forever. Do
yeah,
I talk to Coach Chick as much as I would like to? No, but we'll text back and forth. I'll get a call from him every once in a while. Um, even when I changed coaching jobs later, which we'll get into, he's the first one to reach out to people. He's always got my back. I always got his back. Yeah, we got along great. He was always very good to me.
yeah, no. And that's another thing too, coach, because you're so laid back and he's not. So it's like that is crazy because the first time I ever seen Coach Chick ever, he was just It was almost like he drank like he drank three different monsters, five coffees, a C4 being an energy drink. Like I'm like, cool. Like I just met him, so it was kind of crazy. He actually prank called me too. Like that was crazy too. He actually prank
Funny
called me.
guy.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah,
funny guy.
yeah. That was that was crazy. But like getting into that, coach, like that season, like I want your opinion on that specific season because I'll get into my perspective as well. But that season was the most challenging season I ever had as a player. 20 gassers is like what always comes up. Anytime I ever run into one of our fellow teammates from that era, we always talk about the 20 gassers, his sayings. Welcome to the North Plainfield track team. I guess we'll just run it again. North Plainfield duo. It was like those type of things. So, from a coaching perspective, who didn't have to run those gases, but also had to bear the weight of the losing and just the energy. How was that from your perspective?
Yeah, I would say it was definitely a learning experience. Which in the heat of the moment, nobody really wants to go through a learning experience. But just transitioning. So anytime you have a new coach coming in, they're gonna have a new way of doing things, a new culture. Um, and I think you kind of hit it on the head as well. I don't think we got to see probably the best we could have out of Coach Chick at North Plainfield, because obviously he was only there for 1 year. It took time to kind of probably build what he wanted to build. Um, he was a passionate guy, very, very smart when it comes to football. Um, and he's got so much experience, so he has certain ways that he likes to do things. And sometimes when you've had success with your ways in the past, you know, like we all do, we kind of that's kind of what we hang our hat on. So looking back on it now, there's a lot of great times, smiling times, and during that season, it was challenging. Like you said, I feel like we all thought we could have been better than we were. I thought there was talent on the team. Obviously, defensively, I always felt like I wish we played better. Um, so yeah, that's that. Looking back on it, it was a learning experience. It was fun looking
Yeah,
back on, but in the moment, it wasn't as fun as it is to look back on.
yeah, nah, seriously. I just feel like that style, all of that with the guys like Keyshawn Tucker, Siraj, Arthur Gilmore, Stephen Barna, the big man up front. Can't even think of all of them, but just I feel like that roster right there with Coach Chick. Not nothing against Coach Lake, but I think just that style of offense because the speed we had, we got Karan Mack, like things like that. I just feel like we could have thrived in more that type of offense. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely enjoyed that style of offense, and I guess the fruit it would show that when I became the head coach, we continued to run a similar style of offense. So I definitely loved what Coach Chick did offensively. Like I said, I learned a ton of offense from him. That dude is he knows offense, he knows football, he knows how to score points. Um, yeah, so I mean, I love the system.
Yeah, and coach, and you're here, you're the witness. I'm trying to tell people we ran the original Philly special before it became famous. We ran the original Philly special thanks to Coach Chick. I never, when I seen the play when we first was running it, I'm like, how is this ever gonna work? Like you just fake, like you're talking to the lineman, then they snap it. Like who's gonna fall for that? And then when I seen it in the Super Bowl, I'm like, no way. Coach Chick did it again. He did it again.
Thanksgiving Day, 2 point play against South Plainfield.
Yeah,
Who was that? James Garner to Brandon Smith to Nick.
yeah.
Yes, I remember, man. Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm like, really? They ran this in the work too, one of the biggest game of the year. So
Now you see a ton of people doing it down by the goal line.
yeah, it's crazy.
Chick was doing it 7, 8 years ago.
Doing it, yeah, that's crazy. People did not believe me, but I was telling them like we ran the Philly Special before. It was called the Philly Special, thanks
Yep.
to Coach Chick. But Coach, now back to that year, Coach. Was that the most like underwhelming year of you being a coach? Besides head coach, I don't know how your head coaching like experience was, but just as far as just a coordinator.
Yeah, it was definitely up there. So again, when a new coach comes in, they pretty much have control over all aspects of the football program. Coach Chick wanted to run a certain defensive scheme that we didn't run the previous year. Uh, you know, I'll be honest, it wasn't my scheme of choice, but I agreed to coach and be the defense coordinator. So I had to learn it. I had to, to buy into it, to coach it, to do it as best as I could. And obviously I didn't think we played as good of defense as I'm sure everybody would have wanted to. And we could go a million reasons why. We can
Yeah.
make excuses. We could say what we did, what we didn't do. At the end of the day, as a team, our record wasn't as good as I think we all felt we should have been. So that's really all it comes down to. So
Yeah, and what I think it really comes down to, besides everything else you said, because it's obviously that was the case, but I think what it really came down to, Coach, is what you just said, that you had to do it. You had to buy in, and that was one of Coach Schick's favorite sayings, which is buy in, buy in, buy in. And I feel like as a team, we did not buy in, which is why we had the results that we had. So, for everybody out there listening, you have to buy in as a team. You have to buy in because we had Coach DiPaolo will tell you we had like talent that could stand against anybody else that we played and anybody we probably would have played in the championship game if we made it that far, playoffs, whatever. But the fact that we did not buy in is the reason why instead of going maybe 8-2 like Coach DiPaolo's team in his senior year, my senior year we went 2-8. The year before that, 2-8. So it really just came down to not buying in, and I feel like that was the main thing. So those guys out there and girls, anybody out there, you have to buy into the process, or you have to buy into the team, the way of the style, whatever you have to buy into. Just always remember you have to buy in because that's what's going to separate you maybe from another team or other people in on your team or in the division or in the state, et cetera, et cetera. So buying in, I think, was the most important part that we missed as a team, as a collective that year. Uh, and I just feel like we would have definitely taken it way further if we would just bought in as a team. And what's funny too, Coach? I think from a player's perspective, I think that year it was more so because of the way Coach Chick was. No shot to Coach Chick. I love Coach Chick, but I just feel like the type of people we were at the time, which was like stubborn individuals as players. Like you're not gonna come in here and tell us what to do. So it was like instead of us just buying in like he wanted us to, we were like resistant to it. So it's like it was kind of like a clash. It was like no, we're not gonna because it just felt like a power struggle, which it shouldn't have been, and we should have just bought in from the get go, and we would have probably had a much better season not only as individual players but just as a collective team.
it's a good point you make, and I try to incorporate everything back to like some life lessons. Like you're gonna have bosses, managers that you might not see eye to eye with, and throughout your life, there's gonna be people that you might not agree 100% with what they're telling you, but you have to find a way to do, like you said, what's best for the team, what's best for the company, what's best for yourself, and just understand that everybody's slightly different, but the ultimate goal is still the same.
Yeah, no, that's I don't even know like how to even emphasize that any more than what you just said, but yeah, like just like you said, the way to be successful in life is to not just dwell on, oh, I don't like this coach or I don't like this manager, this boss, this teacher. At the end of the day, you have to worry about your success, and the way you get that success is by buying in, whether it be to the classroom rules, to the company rules, or the policies, or the quotas that you have to meet each month, or whatever the case may be. But if you buy in, it'll equal more success to you. And because the more value you add, the more value gets added back into you. So, uh, yeah, no, coach, I think that was a really good point. You see why, guys? I'm telling you, he's top five. He's top five. I don't care what anybody says. He's definitely top five. But so coach, second, this is your second head yeah, this is your second head coach stepping down.
Yeah.
So what is that process like now?
Yeah, it was another interesting time period. I know me personally in my life, I had just got married. We were expecting our first child. A little bit, football wise, just inconsistency. Obviously, going through two coaches in 2 years. Uh, you know, it was a lot going on in a short period of time.
So now, at that moment, I'm assuming that you felt like you were ready to be the head coach for the team.
Yeah, I did. I did. I felt ready. Like I said, I was always preparing myself for this as I went along. When I was a position coach, when I was a coordinator, I was always preparing myself, knowing that one day I do want to be a head coach. So I felt prepared. Um, I really wanted to put North Plainfield football back where like I believed it belonged. You know, we went through a few tough years record wise, like I said before. So I was motivated. I was hungry. I was things like that.
Yeah, I like what you said because that's another important life lesson. Which, sorry, excuse me, I don't even know why I just burped right there. But, um, which is preparing for the moment before it gets there. Because whether it's on the field, off the field, if you're not preparing for your success, then you are preparing to fail. So I like that he mentioned that the fact that he was preparing since he was an indie coach to become the head coach as he was going along, because he could have easily just said, okay, I'll just be the best defensive coach or best indie coach I can be, and then when that moment comes, I'll just figure it out when it gets there. But no, he was proactive. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew what his goals were. So he said, I'm going to plan ahead. So that's for you guys that's on the scout team, you guys that are maybe the entry level worker at your job, whatever, insert whatever here. But when you're at that level, you have to prepare for your success. A lot of times, just in life general, we just wait till we get there, and then that's when we're like, okay, I'll figure it out. Boom. But as sometimes that is too late. It's not enough. By that time, somebody's already passed you up, or you're not now when you could have been accelerating in this role. Now you're stagnant now because you wasted that time that you could have been building, and now you're figuring out how to prepare to be successful in that role. So I really like the fact that you added that, coach. That was this is a great point. But now, so being a head coach now, this is like not your crescendo, but this is where you wanted to be. So what would like some of your first changes that you wanted to do? Because I know, like you said, every coach has their own individual style. So what did you envision for North Plainfield football as far as maybe the style, the tone? I know you guys had some cool jerseys, the black jerseys. You
Yeah.
guys added that.
Yeah.
What other changes did you want to make, like immediate changes?
Yeah, so the big thing, when I took the job is I really wanted to change the culture. Like I felt like the culture of the football program, even the school in general, was a little bit low. I really wanted to get the kids, players excited to be North Plainfield football players because I know when I was there, we absolutely loved it. And I felt like we kind of had to get back to that. So changing the culture, giving some player ownership, like you said, the jerseys, helmet stickers, little things like that, where the kids have, the players have a sense of ownership in the program. I think that kind of goes a long way in really getting the buy-in that you were talking about. Um, those were two of the biggest things. Changing the image physically, branding it, social media. I think I was the first one to get the Twitter, Instagram going.
Okay.
Trying to just build the brand of North Plainfield football back to what we wanted. And again, that type of stuff, that it definitely doesn't happen overnight. And
Yeah.
talk about the wins didn't come right away, but I always felt like we were stepping in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah, we're definitely going to get to the wins though, because you definitely had a good head coaching career. I was hearing a lot about you guys. I never got a chance to go to a game. I should have, but yeah. So, coach, another thing that you did add that I want to mention, that I think I'm not sure if they do this in college or they probably some colleges, but they had to earn a single digit number. So
Yeah.
can you talk to us about that? What do you have to do to earn a single digit number?
Yeah. So, you know, that is something too, for sure. Um, I always wanted to reward the kids that were doing the right thing, not just punish maybe people that aren't doing the right thing, but positive enforcement for the kids that are going to every off-season lift, that are, we started doing 6 a.m. lifts, that are getting it done in the classroom, that are at every summer practice. So I started, long story short, like a point system, tracking who was doing all these things and then making a really big deal out of it. So the single digit strong we started, obviously it had to be a skill player, but we selected them as coaches of kids, like I said, that were doing all the things, the right things on and off the field. Didn't matter what year you were, didn't matter if you were a starter. And we, like I said, we made a huge deal about it. We let them pick a single digit number. We presented to them in front of the team, and it really caught on. Kids love the single digit number.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, why not make him earn it?
Absolutely. And this is why I said, guys, he's top five because no other coach, not no other coach, but there's not many coaches that think like that they have to earn it. And then on top of that, there's usually a seniority. So like when I was playing, there was a seniority. So the seniors, you go pick your jerseys first. And if you're first come, first serve. So it don't matter if you're the third guy on the depth chart or whatever. If you pick the jersey, you get it before the other person. So I like the fact that there's actually something you have to earn, and then it doesn't matter whether you're a sophomore on the bench or you're a senior that's starting because it holds everybody accountable. So yeah, you could be that senior that's showing up late and not really putting the work in, but because you get there early, you get the number one jersey or number two or whatever. But in this system, you have to actually earn it. So I think that's really dope as far as holding people accountable, and I think that definitely paid off because we'll get to that later. But the season that you guys had that year was remarkable. I was really proud. I was really proud to say I was from North Plainfield that year. I can definitely say that.
That was the goal, man. That was the goal. Yeah, but yeah, I agree with everything you said. That was one thing I never really liked as a coach, that just because somebody's a senior, they show up on the first day of camp and they get their choice of number. And we all know as players that means a lot. Numbers
Yeah,
mean a lot.
yeah,
So I wanted to come up with a creative way to put some incentive behind it and reward the guys that deserved it.
yeah, coach. That one right there. I think people will be stealing that. The ones that hear that, the coaches out there, you don't. If you stole it, we know where you got it from. Listen, you got it from here. You don't lie. We know we're seeing you. We're watching you. You stole it. But yeah, coach. So that was that first year as a head coach. What was that season? What was that season like?
So that season we were 2-8. So like I said, the wins definitely did not come right away. Um, you know, feel like we could have, and should have been better. I know myself personally, I had learning experiences along the way. Stepping into a role as head coach, you don't realize how little X's and O's and football stuff you're really doing and how much other things you're doing. Making sure that kids are doing the right thing in class. And there's so much behind the scenes
Yeah,
but really just transitioning that role and then building a staff and managing and delegating responsibilities. It was a great learning experience. Um, but I definitely didn't have all the answers in year one.
so, coach, can you talk to us about like what it's like to build a staff?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the number one thing you want is people that are loyal. You want people that are hardworking. Again, any field you're in, loyal, hardworking. Um, Football staff. I want guys that are great with kids. That are good people, good teachers. And then I always feel like the football stuff you can kind of teach. Obviously, you want somebody that's motivated. You want people that are eager to learn, that are going to put the work in. But I think the other three really take precedent. Um, People that are going to have your back. They're going to be loyal when times get tough. They're going to work. They're going to be there on time. And then when you're working with student athletes, they got to be good people that are good with kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Now hold up, coach, because I think this is the problem. Because now Zoom is telling me running out of time? Question mark. This is Cyber Monday. Give pro a chance for free. Now let's see what that is, coach. Because I think this is what keeps kicking us out.
Oh, we might be going over time.
Yeah, I think this is what
So
keeps kicking us out, coach.
it says we got 8 minutes left.
We have 8 minutes left. Yo, Zoom, what are you doing?
So it's up to you, man. Whatever you want. If you want to finish it out, then hop back on. I'm
Yeah,
going with.
yeah. So yeah, we'll do this until it craps out, and then maybe my broke self will actually buy pro for the next time, so we don't have to keep doing that. And yeah, so well, guys, if it stops, if like it's, I'll work out a way where it edits and it's more smoothly. But yeah, Zoom, come on, we know you want the money, but come on, Zoom, like, it's us, Zoom, come on, don't do that.
Exactly, Zoom.
It's our guys, come on. But so now, like you said, the season wasn't the way you wanted it to be, but you kind of not expected it, but you were kind of not surprised because you were stepping into a new role and things like that. You had to learn before you could, because sometimes you got to crawl before you could walk. So now, I want to ask you this: was there any pressures? Like, did you feel any pressures? Because I always want to ask this. I'm asking this to Coach Lake as well, but do you feel the pressure from like the community of being a head coach and like, damn, we gotta win, or the because North Plainfield's a small town. For those of you who don't know, it's like 4 miles. The radius is like 4 miles wide or something like that. But so it's kind of tight knit, like we said already. So like it's not really too many places you can go and hide where it's nobody know. Oh, that's the head coach. So did you hear any of like the whispers, or you feel any of the pressure of being that coach in that position of the team?
Um, it's a great question, and to be honest, I kind of like that there should be some pressure. I feel like in any community, if they care about sports and they care about football, they should want you to win, and there should be pressure. So I mean, I really embrace it. I know people say it, but I don't think anybody was going to put more pressure on me than I was putting on myself. Like like I said a long time ago, I'm competitive. Um, I don't think it really affected me. I don't know why. Maybe that's just my personality. Um, it didn't really bother me. I embraced it, and like I said, North Plainfield's a proud community, so I think there should be pressure, and if there's not, then that's an issue.
Yeah. So now, what do you say to those coaches that this is their first year being a head coach and they are feeling those pressures? What would you say to that coach or those coaches?
Trust your vision. Trust the preparation that you put in. Um, doesn't happen overnight. A lot of I've been told sometimes it takes 2 to 3 years to change a culture. So when you get that opportunity, to some degree, you kind of have to do it on your terms. Where listen, go out and learn. But I've always felt like, listen, if I'm going to fail, I'm at least going to go out and do it my way. If this is my shot and it doesn't go right, then the only person I could look at is myself. And I kind of just had that, I guess, a little bit of a confidence to myself, and I trusted myself. I knew the work that I put in. So
So now, coach, I have to ask you this from coach to player's perspective. What do you look at in a player like to see? Okay, this I might have something with this player right here. I might have something with this guy.
yeah, another good question. So obviously, the first time you see like overall athletic ability, right? Strength in the weight room, but just the way that players carry themselves, I feel like coaches look at all those things, the little things. Who's working when nobody's watching? Who's being a great teammate when a guy makes a mistake? Coaches notice those things, and I really believe that those things pay off on the field. The guy that's dogging it when no one's looking, it's going to come back to bite him. It's going to come back to bite the team when it matters most. The guy that's maybe being a cancer in the locker room, or not really supporting his teammates, it's going to come back to you. So, I always looked for players that, number one, obviously you got to be athletic, you got to work hard, but that do all those little things. I feel like you could always find a spot for people like that.
Yeah, no, like just like you said, like the the guys that's dogging it, the guys that are if you're somebody that's dogging it, or you're somebody that is like what he's saying, the opposite of, as far as being a good player, you got to change that, because in order to get to that next level that you want to be at, if you do want to be at that next level, you gotta get rid of that, because as we said previously about college and just how that game is, that's not going to be tolerated, especially if you go anywhere where they have pride in what they do. Yeah, what they will do to you in that locker room is they'll eat you alive in that locker room if you have any of those traits. But you probably won't even make it to that level if you have any of those traits. So, just long story short, you're hearing it from a coach yourself. That's why it was important for me to not only have Coach DiPaolo on, but just uh, coaches in general, because you can hear from coaches like perspective what they look for in players to see if you meet what they're saying. Okay, am I a guy that is dogging it when nobody's looking? Am I a good teammate? Am I cancer in the locker room? Am I somebody that shows up late all the time? Like, you can see what they're looking for, and this way you can better your game and look yourself in the mirror and really see how you can take your game to the next level. So, thank you for that insight, coach, because I think a lot of people will learn from that and really be able to, like, okay, look themselves in the mirror. Because if I say it, it's like you just do it on the internet. But an actual high school coach and a player that made it to the next level and has reached success on those levels is telling you this, then it holds more weight. So I really appreciate that, coach. But that next season, coach, that next season, I believe it was that next season. Was it the next season where I think you guys stepped it up a notch to say the least.
Yeah. So the season you're probably talking about was 2 years later. So
Oh,
then the
2 years
next
later.
year
Okay.
we went. The next year we went 4-6, which was the best record in a while.
Yeah.
And that's really the year that I say I really saw the culture start to change. We had younger kids that were really buying into what we were selling. Uh, Sometimes there's hard things that happen too. Sometimes some guys maybe don't fit the mold of what you're looking for, and they don't fit into the program. Still, love them as people, but it. I really saw the culture start to change. I saw kids buying in, and I just knew we were on the right track. Even though again we were 4-6, we were on that right track. And then the following year was where it really all paid off, and we went 7-1. We could talk about that a little bit. That was the COVID year. We didn't even know if we were going to have a season.
Oh yeah.
So I think there's something to that too. People were just excited to play football. The love of football was there because nobody knew if we even have the chance. So we were just appreciative of the opportunity. And we had a special group of guys, and they really just maximized the opportunities we had. And we went 7-1. I think it was the best year in a while.
Yeah. Definitely. That definitely was the best year in a while. Because since I was in high school, probably my freshman year was the best record that they had since then. I think that they were positive that year. I think.
Okay.
So yeah, so that definitely was the best year in a while. That was some tough football years for North Plainfield, but yeah, I was so glad to turn it around. But I really forgot that was a COVID year, which brings me to another question, Coach. What were the challenges like as a head football coach during COVID?
Yeah, a lot of challenges. Just football aside, just people. I was reaching out, emailing. I tried to tell myself I've been email 5 kids a day just to check in on them, see how they're doing, see how their families are doing through COVID. Right when it first started, then we Zoom came into play. We started doing Zoom meetings. At first, it was just check in. How's everybody doing? What's going on. We turned those into film sessions where we started doing football stuff, and it challenged me as a coach. It challenged me as a person. I think it made me a better coach. We started doing staff meetings through Zoom. So it looking back on it, there is some things there that really helped me grow as a person and a coach. Big time, and you say, remember that interview where we had to do three different parts on
Yeah,
Zoom?
3 different parts. Zoom. Wow.
That's it,
He
man.
just gave you free promo. He just gave his story about how he made it to the mountaintop. Zoom through Zoom. Why y'all charging the Zoom? Like, what do we? Come on, Zoom. Cut the check too, Zoom. If you're gonna charge, cut the check. But yeah. So anyway, what I was about to say, Coach, was that that was I want to say battling adversity. That had to be battling adversity at its finest. Because during COVID, I was chilling. I wasn't really worried about anything because my family, everybody was just quarantined. Everybody was so worried about the virus. So, but the fact that not only you guys had to play, but you didn't even know if you were going to be able to play, and then you had to manage. And I know it was, already know it was so nitpicky at the time, especially because it was new. So it was like everybody has to be so far apart. You got to have these regulations. So, what were those challenges like, Coach?
Yeah, felt like day one coaching again. Even though I've been coaching for close to 10 years, literally the day before we got there for the first time, it felt like a completely different thing because we had to draw. Like you said, we had to have separate pods, groups of people. They had to be 6 feet apart. They couldn't share a football. You couldn't use certain equipment. It wasn't coaching football. It was
Yeah,
definitely excuse me. It was definitely something new. But at the same time, I knew the opportunity to get back out there together, to get on the field, whether we were going to play a season or not, was just going to be good for all of us. So it was exciting,
yeah,
um, and challenging at the same time.
yeah. And like you said before, I think that it's one of those how do I miss you if you never go away. I think the threat of football potentially being over at least for that season and it having like just being like in the air allowed everybody to really want to play football and really like get more excited about it when that day finally came because it almost was taken away from them. Like some of their senior years were almost gone as far as football. So
100%, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I think myself included, rejuvenated, the love for the game. We didn't know if we back out there the next day, right?
yeah.
If somebody, in the case of COVID, you're out 14 days at the time it was, I believe. So
Oh
it was
yeah.
just like things that we've always preached, but really taken into consideration, just being appreciative of the day and just enjoying that process because you don't know if
Yeah.
you'll be able to practice tomorrow.
Yeah, and especially and even pre-COVID, post-COVID, even just in general, guys, like football is a luxury, it's a privilege. So it goes as you go. So if God forbid you get injured tomorrow, or season-ending injury, or even a career-ending injury, you're not gonna realize how much you really love football until it's taken away from you. So, just like you said, trust the process and always be appreciative and grateful, and never waste your opportunity out there, guys, because you never know if it's gonna be your last one. So, uh, I think that's a huge lesson for all of us as far as that goes. Because that COVID season, I just remember that was the COVID season. Oof, that was crazy. But so then after that season, what happens next for you? Were you still coaching there after that, or did?
Yeah, yeah, yep. I do one more year. So we had the COVID year. Like I said, we went 7-1. Had a great year. Um, the following season, we returned a good number of kids. We went 6-4, so which was the first time going back to back winning seasons in I think over 15 years. But that's actually a season I was almost as proud of as the 7-1 year because we ended up losing our quote unquote, arguably our two best players for the year within the first three games to season ending injuries. So that was just like another, challenge of, how do you respond to adversity? How do you get teams to stay together? How strong is your culture? Is that family atmosphere that you're trying to build? So we started off the year 1-3. Like I said, we lost our quarterback who also played safety and our slot receiver who was a safety. Quote, two of our best guys for the year. And you know, everyone was looking a little, what are we going to do now?
Yeah,
And the team responded, man. We responded. Guys stepped up. We won 5 games in a row. We lost our last game of the year in a very close game to Parsippany Hills, 21-13, a very respectable game. And we finished the year 6-4. So I was very, very proud of that group for what they were able to overcome.
yeah. I know that has to be such a great feeling, coach. To because at the end of the day, you can coach as well as you can, but it's up to the players to really perform. So I know that is such a great feeling when like because you know how you are, but like when your players are able to like channel your energy of like, no, this isn't over, and just
Yep.
fight back and have that resiliency and just play with their heart and that pride. So I know that was a great feeling for you.
Yeah, definitely very, very proud of that. Like you said, you always want your team to kind of resemble your personality, and hopefully you're able to get that through to them. So it was just great seeing those guys. They were close on and off the field. We always talk about family and brotherhood and all that stuff, and they really lived it. They believed it, and I'm proud of them for that.
Yeah, and I got to say this, coach. It's so fitting, and like you might be full circle, man, coach. Now that I think about it, you might be full circle, man, because you were the guy that like when you were a player, the school had a certain energy, a swagger, just as far as like the football team, the culture, and eventually you were the guy that ended up bringing it back as a head coach. So I think that's as full circle as it gets, honestly, coach.
I appreciate it. I mean, I don't know if I could take all the credit for that. I mean, there's a lot of people that went into it, but I always believe the program was bigger than me. There's nobody bigger than the program. And like I said before, I wanted to get the program back to where I believed it belonged, where I knew it. So whatever we could do, however we could do it, that was the goal. So when I did, step down, which was the following year, I was proud of like, I always wanted to leave the program better than I found it. Like, and I can sleep good at night feeling that I did my best to accomplish that.
Yeah, coach. That I know that was your humble answer, but coach, you you were the guy, coach. You were the head coach. So if it was bad, it would have all fell on you. I know there was like you say, you're a humble guy, so you're gonna give credit to all those involved, but it's like quarterbacking, coach. They get too much blame, too much credit, but you were the guy. Ultimately, you were the head guy. So I have to give you that full credit because you were responsible for, like you said, the staffing, the managing, and as you said before, it's more than just the X's and O's. So the fact that you were able to have a team rally like that, because I know personally from experience, if that happened when we were playing, if let's say Nick Tercero or RJ or any of those other guys, Brandon B Smith, anybody like that went down, and we started off 1-3, it would have been like, okay, this is going to be one of those again, and just crumble. But the fact that you were able to change that culture, because it's not a player thing, guys. That's a mentality thing. That's a culture thing that you have to build as not only a team but as a head coach for your team. And just the fact that you were able to have your players play like that and have that culture that way, it speaks volumes not only about you but just about the players that bought in, and it really was a great time. It still is a great time to really be a North Plainfield alum. So, got to give you your credit, man. Got to give you your flowers, coach. Have to.
Appreciate that.
So now, coach. So fast forwarding to I guess present day. So you made the decision to step down. So we kind of talked off camera, but what was that for the people on camera? What was the reasoning for the stepping down from the head coach?
Yeah, so I live about an hour away from North Plainfield. I live in Monmouth County. I have two young kids now. So just kind of reflecting, like I knew I probably couldn't stay at North Plainfield for another 10 years. Could I have done another year or two? Yes, probably. But I kind of felt like that wasn't fair to the program. Um, I felt like there was never going to be a perfect time because I know, the passion and the love I have for the program. I could always talk myself out of stepping down. But last February, I kind of just made a decision with my family that I knew I probably had to make at some point. Like I said, I knew there was never going to be a perfect time to do it. So I just did it. I decided to step down. When I was coaching at North Plainfield, by the time I would get home from practice, it was late. My kids were going to bed. I'm up in the morning. I'm out of the house before anybody's awake. And I didn't want to have regrets later in life. My family comes first. I don't want to see my kids grow up and for that fall season that I'm not around. So they're still young. So I felt like it was the right time, for me. And like I said, I felt like we were leaving the program in good shape, and I could be proud of that. So I was at peace with my decision.
Yeah, no, I think I really respect your decision. I know people out there definitely respect that decision, especially those that are fathers like you. But yeah, coach, man, I know that was like a really tough decision you had to make on both ends, from like your family and then also like that program, because you graduated from that school, played at that school, then came to coach at that school, changed the culture at that school, and then now have to step away from it all to now start somewhere new. But to point out something you said earlier when you was like that sometimes change is needed. It's sometimes it's scary, but sometimes it's for the best. So with that being said, going into your new role as a coach closer to where you live, because like you said, well, you said off camera that you would come home from practice and your kids would be sleeping, stuff like that. But so now, how do you land this new job at that you're currently at now?
Yeah, so I still knew I wanted to coach. Like, I mean, I think it's in me. I wasn't done coaching. I knew I wanted to coach somewhere in some capacity. I didn't have to be a head coach right away. I just wanted to coach. So there's actually a kid that I played college football with. He was the offense coordinator, still is the offense coordinator at a high school close to me called Manalapan High School. I saw they were looking for a defensive coordinator, so I reached out to him, spoke to him. I ended up meeting with the head coach, who we hit it off with great. Offered me the position. Talked it over with my family. Like I said, I wanted to coach. I wanted to coach at a high level, but I wanted to coach closer to home. So I accepted the job. Towards the end of last year, um, maybe March or April, um, and it's been great. It's a great community. Short conference, a lot of pride in football. Played in some really big football games. Staff welcomed me with open arms, very accepting. Um, So, it's been a smooth transition for me. I'm appreciative of that, to say the least.
So, how many seasons have you had coaching at Manalapan? Is that how you say it? How many seasons have you had coaching there?
Just one. This is my first year this past fall.
Oh, first year. How did you guys do?
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of going back to day ones at North Plainfield. So our record was 3-7. We made the playoffs. We lost in the first round. Defensively, I was the defense coordinator. A lot less responsibility than the head coach. I really didn't have much to do with the offense. I completely got to run the defense, which was great. I could do my thing. Um, we played some really good defense. Even in the playoff game that we unfortunately lost, we only gave up 50 yards, 59 yards, and 3 first downs. So steps in the right direction. Obviously, the
Yeah.
wins and losses are the only thing that mattered. But we played some really good defense. The kids, they bought into me and to the system. Coaches did. So, I
Yeah.
think better days are ahead.
Yeah, absolutely, coach. You got me wanting to suit up again. I want to play defense now. Now I want to play defense, coach. I want to play defense for you now, coach. But yeah,
So,
so coach, man, like it's I don't even know where to even go from that because now I want to play football now, and I'm pretty sure the viewers want to play football now. Just I don't know. But I guess before we close it out, I want to just ask you what's next for Coach DiPaolo.
that's a great question. I mean, I'm happy with what I'm doing right now. I really am. I think it serves my family. It serves me. I still get to coach the game I love. I still teach in North Plainfield, so I still get to see the guys I love. I do miss coaching them on the field. I still have a significant role coaching. Will I get that itch to be the head coach again at some point? To be determined. I would never rule it out. Um, but right now, I think what I'm doing right now is serves me, my family, and pretty much everybody best. So who knows?
Yeah, who knows, man. But so coach, if there's anybody that I don't know wants to maybe get in contact with you, maybe about any coaching opportunities or anything like that, what's the best place that they could possibly reach you?
Good question. I mean, I'm not afraid, I guess, to put my email out there. You could always email me. It's my last name, DiPaolo31 at Gmail. I am on social media too, Twitter.
Yeah. Okay.
Give me a follow on
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah. Nah. Yeah. Follow my guy right now. Just what's your
Mostly
Twitter?
at Coach DiPaolo.
All right. Okay. At Coach Apollo. Yeah, that's real
Mostly,
coachy. Real coachy.
yeah, mostly football stuff on there, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, speaking of football, coach, because this is the great debate now, coach. Because these soccer players are starting to call their sport football. I'm confused by that. I don't really understand that. So now, coach, I have to ask you. I know what the answer is going to be, but is it football or is it soccer, coach?
For me,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
for you.
for me, that's not even a question.
Yeah, that like that. But I gotta ask
I
it
know the
because
World Cup. I know the World Cup's going on.
yeah, they getting excited.
It is exciting. But any sport that could end in a tie, no
That's what
go.
I'm saying. Like, but coach, they're gonna kill us because they're gonna say football games can end in a tie, but they rarely happen. And also in the
Sure.
big games, they can't. It's impossible to tie. You can't tie.
I mean, I'm joking. I'm adding a little sarcasm there.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Got
like
you, got
soccer. I played it in second grade, but there's
you.
no game
Same.
like.
Yeah, nah, football is nothing like it. And then like there's too much flopping in soccer. Like it's too much. Like I literally seen a guy like he got bumped and then they carted him off as he. I'm like, come on, man. Like so, yeah. But so are you watching any of the World Cup, coach? Are you?
I'm not gonna lie to you, not much. A little bit, trying to check in with how the U.S. is doing. Mostly talking to some students and stuff in class. Um, I'm rooting for the U.S.,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I haven't watched too much.
Okay, okay. So you're not a soccer guy really at all. You're not a soccer guy.
You just trying to set me up here, Cooper. Nah, man. Hey, I will.
He's a
I
smart
will
guy.
say, my 5-year-old played soccer this spring. He liked it. If he chooses to play soccer, so be it. He did
Yeah.
score one goal in the wrong goal, so I didn't teach him to.
Okay. But it's all right. He has the right idea. Just
Yeah,
gotta just
yeah.
work on the right direction now. The right opponent. But so yeah, coach, man, it was an honor. It was an honor having you on. I really appreciate it. We had to go through Zoom 3 times. Uh so I appreciate you being patient through the first interview. It's really a major honor to have you on here first. And I just like I told you in the text, I think this will spark a chain of a wave of interviews like this that can help players. 'Cause at the end of the day, this is about the players. This is about the up and coming people with dreams and things like that. So I really appreciate having you on, man.
Well, it's been my pleasure, man. I hope so. Like you said, inspiring others, giving back to people that have done for me. So when you hit me up to do this, there's obviously no way I was going to say no. Anything I could do to support you, try to help inspire some others, and catch up and have a good time while we did it.
Yeah, and also because he said I'm top five. He said I was top five receiver, so he definitely had to cop on here. Top five guy.
Yeah.
Nah.
Oh, yeah. You literally took the words out of my mouth. I was thinking when I was thinking about the process, I was going to use your example of like from a sophomore, your routes weren't too good. Your catching wasn't the best. I was going to say some of these things, but you said it. But just to see the growth in you, obviously through your sophomore year to your junior to your senior year, on the field and off the field, you got stronger. I feel like you got more confident. I feel like that process changed you as not just a football player, but as a person. Like it was great to witness that. I've seen it with athletes in the past, but I really do believe you're a great example of that. Just you love the hard work, and I just saw a change in you as a football player and as a person. Something that I was proud of.
Thank you, Coach. I'm actually honored to hear that. Those words are really impactful. So I am gonna forgive you for leaving me off that decades list, but I'll forgive you.
It was not just me, man.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We had some good laughs. It was an interesting list.
I had to ask the guys that have been in the program for a long time. I wasn't there for all those years.
Yeah, I respect it. I respect it, Coach.
Ask other guys. I
Yeah.
gotta go back after we get off here. I gotta look at that list, see who was on there.
Yeah. It was an interesting list, Coach. It was an interesting list.
Who should we have took off, Coop? Come on, I know you know off the top of your head. Who should you have replaced?
Coach, listen, Coach.
Come on, you're on the spot.
Listen, Coach. All I'm saying is, listen, Coach. It's some individuals, Coach. I love them, but they shouldn't have been in that particular spot. And I'm not saying me. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it's certain people that I feel like should be above certain players on there. But I'm gonna do like you did, Coach. You didn't answer the top five.
Maybe it's time for a new list.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe
on this podcast we can get a list going one day.
Yeah, maybe. We'll line up the former coaches, and we'll see about a list.
Isn't that the great thing about the game of football and the that sense of that stuff still matters to us.
Yeah. Still that sense of pride. Like, wait, what? Him? Me? You know what I'm saying? Or one of those. So, but yeah, Coach, I really appreciate it. Anytime you want to hop back on, anytime you want to get in contact, anything like that, Coach, you're more than welcome to do so. You're definitely a permanent guest here if you would like to be so. So, really appreciate it, Coach. Thank you so much for your time, for your words, your wisdom, and anything else you want to say to the people before we wrap up?
I think that's it, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciate the opportunity, and I wish you the best of luck. And I'm proud of everything that you've done so far in your young adulthood. So I look forward to watching this grow and watching you continue to grow, and staying in contact.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks so much. And thank you, Zoom, for kicking us out 3 times. We'll remember this one day, Zoom. We'll remember you. But, yeah, guys, so if you like this interview, give a thumbs up. Also, follow Coach DiPaolo on Twitter. Or if you have any questions as a player, you think they could email you or reach out to you on Twitter or do email about, like, a question about, like, what should I be doing to work on my game or anything like that? Is that possible, or... I don't want to overstep,
No, 100%. Like I said, Twitter at Coach DiPaolo. My email is my last name, DiPaolo31@gmail.com. I'm always here to help the best way I can. I don't have all the answers, but I'm happy to help anybody that is looking for something.
All right, there you have it, guys. So links will be in the description below. And if you got any serious questions only, please, then just like you said, email them or contact them on Twitter, whatever you feel more comfortable doing. But yeah, thank you so much, Coach, for your time, and love you guys, man. And this is for you guys, and we're just gonna keep doing these videos, keep trying to help the youth, help anybody that's willing to listen, and we're just gonna keep this growing, man. So love you guys, appreciate you guys for tuning in. And this is Coop and Coach DiPaolo signing out.
I run them bands up so long that a nigga legs is gonna be so, cause can't no nigga f with me. Best in every country. Bitch, I know I'm him. Can't no hard time humble me. Bro, I know I'm him. All that little hate will stumble me. To get them lights, you gotta fight. I'm stinging like a bumblebee. So rumble, man, rumble. Never fumble, man, fumble. I in groups, that's a 2-for-1 bundle. I hit them, bro, her out. Now I bought a new bundles. They ain't wanna let us in. Now we kicking through that front door, and I need all that. Reached out, they would fall back. Reached out, they ain't call back. Now I need all that. All the pain I grew from it. All that hate I grew from it. Now I beat my chest and walk around this